I don't think we are going to get a true Destiny 3. At least, not by that name. Marathon is Destiny 3. And I think this is the only way that it can work. To understand why I think there won't be a Destiny 3, a true Destiny 3, we first have to look at why Bungie made Destiny 2. For a live service game, making a sequel is about psychology. There's no technical reason it needs to be labeled a sequel, but it is necessary to induce the right psychological shift for the community. Making a sequel signals, hey everyone, these are big changes and it's going to feel like a completely new game, not just an expansion. Now, even though some of the changes made with Destiny 2 were controversial, Bungie was allotted the space and time to experiment and reiterate. This is because it was called Destiny 2, it wasn't just another expansion. It bought them the room to take big risks, and the time to make any necessary changes after the release. Big changes can be good, in the right environment and when done well, but too much change without the right framework can be jarring and too difficult to accept. If Bungie were to implement some wild changes in an expansion, it becomes increasingly likely that the community will reject it. Players typically expect mechanical updates and moderate additions from a new expansion, and maybe one complete overhaul game design update. Let's think about it for a second. Imagine if Bungie decided to implement a gear wipe as part of an expansion. This would cause major waves across the community. Just look at how people reacted to the Armor 3.0 update from the Edge of Fate expansion. And we still had access to all our old gear. It was still viable, it just felt old. It is far more likely that the community would accept something as drastic as a gear wipe if it was done in tandem with a sequel, not an expansion. Destiny 2 had a gear wipe, case in point. And I think we all inherently understand this, even if it's subconscious. It's why people are asking, practically begging for a Destiny 3. The community is indirectly asking for major changes. Now, why wouldn't they just name it Destiny 3 and call it a day? Why pivot to Marathon? Well, after 10 years of players investing their time, connecting deeply with the storylines of these characters, a traditional sequel might not provide enough of a psychological shift for the community to be able to accept major changes. A sequel is supposed to be exciting and new, but at this point it's all too predictable. People have, for too long, already been talking about what a Destiny 3 should be, and anything different would be received with negative reviews, no matter how good it might be. And conversely, if Bungie delivers exactly what people expect, it will be boring and die. People will be shorting the concurrent player count like the 2008 housing market crash. I'm a firm believer that giving the people what they want only works when making fixes or small adjustments. But when it comes to something new, something exciting, people want to be surprised. It's the developers' jobs to be able to interpret the noise that the community is making and deliver a product that will address those feelings, but not necessarily by following the community's instructions. When we go to the doctor, we can tell them we are sick and how we feel, but it's not their job and actually can be detrimental for them to listen to what we say is the prognosis. It's their job to make the decisions, but it is rooted in our expression to them. Another important roadblock, if I may be honest, is story. I think the Destiny 2 saga died with The Witness. That enemy was so meta, so evil, and taunted us for so long that killing it felt like the end of an era. And now, everything after that just feels like a random spin-off. It's why I think they launched the following expansion with the dopest collab to date with Lucasfilms to compensate. Don't get it twisted, the lightsaber and cosmetics were dope. And I'm a Star Wars fanboy. But I think I would also prefer a different approach to how they deliver the story beats for each expansion. In semi-recent expansions like Lightfall, we paid $50 to fight Callus, while The Witness the villain they'd been building up for years, stood inside the Traveler, taunting us. We couldn't even touch him until we bought the final shape a whole year later. This feels less like experiencing a complete narrative and more like being baited with a paywall structure. It felt like the enemy we were chasing wasn't the enemy we got to defeat, and we had to pay for the next expansion in order to fight them. It feels narratively disjointed and creates an emotional block for what should be a satisfying ending. Now, maybe I'm old school. I have, after all, been playing live service games since 2004, when Blizzard launched World of Warcraft. I was actually around to pick up the cardboard box in the store and read about it on the back of the box. And yes, that was back when we had to use a CD to install the game. And in WoW's golden era, when you bought an expansion like Wrath of the Lich King, the boss was on the box. The Lich King himself. Go back and watch that cinematic of him giving the most epic monologue to kick off the expansion. That cinematic alone had me in a chokehold for a year waiting to fight him. And he was the boss you'd fight in that expansion's final raid. Even though he was time-gated for months. Even though you had to fight his undead guards in the wings of his citadel well before you could face him, it all still felt connected. And when he was defeated, it provided a satisfying ending to the story we bought into 10 months prior. The Lich King wasn't hidden behind the next expansion's purchase. And Blizzard had to earn our commitment to the next expansion through good marketing, a new compelling enemy, not by holding the current villain hostage. Now, I think it's important to talk about why I fell in love with Destiny in the first place. It is relevant to why I brought up a completely different game. And that's because it reminded me of day one retail World of Warcraft. The core elements of that game are the reasons so many of us played WoW for over a decade. Those elements were build crafting, also known as talent trees at the time, playing online with friends and flexing our gear and level, end game PvE, climbing the ranks of PvP, great story, and this glorious feeling that we were just a small piece of this completely connected and ongoing world. All of which are the exact same elements that kept me playing Destiny for over a decade. WoW eventually became tired and the novelty wore off, but we had already had a decade-long run, so how can you blame it? Thinking back, the experience of feeling connected to a living world is the element that really stood out the most. It's the element that I think is the one that can carry a game for a decade. So many games have many of the other elements, and those games also come and go. But what gave Destiny its staying power? For those Guardians who played way back when, you might remember, if you happen to be around on Venus, you might see 6 Guardians doing the Vault of Glass encounter to activate the Spire. You could watch, or even help them, all ending with them summoning a Spire to open the gate and disappear into the darkness. And seeing all of this happen in our shared world left us with the feeling, one day that could be me. And watching all of this unfold in our world, a world that we are a part of, hits way different than just watching it on a video. I really believe Marathon can bring this kind of experience into their extraction shooter. Imagine a group of decked out shells running by you, heading straight for a PvE encounter. They're on a mission for the chance at what feels like can only be the best loot in the game. Or imagine going with epic gear because you've successfully built up a solid stockpile. And now you're ready to risk it for the biscuit. And you have proximity chat at your disposal. This adds the possibility of now negotiating with other randoms who might be geared out as well to enter the encounter together. All of this, along with other game choices, could be incentive for us to cooperate instead of a purely shoot on sight mentality. Us old heads definitely know this is light years ahead of having to spam Baron's chat trying to find a group for welding caverns. /1, LFG, WC. What a time. All of these potential elements can act as the bridge connecting Destiny to Marathon. The art style and flavor of Marathon has just enough of a connection to Destiny to leave breadcrumbs for Destiny players to follow on over. It is possible. Try and suspend your disbelief for a moment and go with me on this hypothetical scenario. Imagine Bungie devs having a meeting about what could be Destiny 3, asking themselves how they can shake things up. Imagine them asking, what if we added some extraction shooter elements? This could be leveraged into a completely fresh take on gear, build crafting, characters, maps, and more. Now, does this hypothetical example seem like an obvious scenario? No, but it is possible. Even if this is on the far end of the spectrum when it comes to radical changes. But radical game changes are where risk is. It's where greatness can live. And taking a risk for something great could be the path to success when you are trying to design a memorable sequel that has staying power. Will Marathon replace the world of Destiny? The short answer, no. Nothing can replace Destiny. Destiny itself will likely continue, but could be phased into a different tier for Bungie. It makes no sense to just drop it, but the mantle for lead game can be passed, and done so in a way that feels right. Marathon could serve as the spiritual successor. Maybe I'm hoping for too much, or maybe this is just pure copium. But I want to continue believing in Bungie. I think a lot of us do. I think so many of us still care. Otherwise, we wouldn't be clinging on. There wouldn't be so much chatter around Destiny 2, Destiny 3, around Marathon. People are taking the time to talk online, make videos, write comments. Good or bad, it shows people still care. Why do I choose to believe in Bungie and carry a positive outlook in the face of uncertainty? It's because I don't think it's possible to expect anyone to have a fighting chance at hitting the marks they're aiming for in an overwhelmingly negative space. Developing a great game is already hard enough as it is. But I want to cheer them on and champion them to make a great game. I want the devs to make choices in pursuit of innovation and not hold back from fear of making mistakes. And all of this can be done while still challenging Bungie to be better every day. I want Bungie to have a community it can be proud of, not feel like they have to put up with. I want Bungie to make a comeback and introduce us to a world where we can spend the next 10 years exploring and conquering. And if done right, this kind of comeback could be one of the greatest arcs in gaming history. Right now, I imagine Bungie is like Rocky Balboa getting pummeled in the ring, and we are Mickey, his corner man. Sure, we made great demands and had high expectations, and pushed Rocky hard during training. We forced him to eat raw eggs and chase chickens. But now is not the time to throw chickens or raw eggs into the ring, nor is it the time to throw in the towel. Now is the time to say, get up, Rock, get up, and hope they turn the tide to knock out the opponent in front of them. Their opponent? The monumental task of creating a game great enough to satisfy a community hungry for something special. At this point, I think I'm ready to let go of Destiny. Another great decade-long run. Can I still play and visit the current worlds and the new ones to come? Yes. I did this with World of Warcraft, jumping in for a bit from time to time. Many people never left. And this is all okay. I left with appreciation for the memories, unforgettable moments with friends, and many years of community shared experiences. And I joined a new game in a very different genre, Destiny, where I got to spend another 10 years. All of those same elements at the end of the day. Now, I'm ready to welcome Marathon, even if it is a different genre, with hope that it might provide a gaming universe that will have all of those same elements yet again, where I might be able to spend another decade building memories that I will forever remember, and maybe make new lifelong friends along the way. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it, and I hope you enjoyed it. And although this is my first video posting on this channel, I had an absolute blast making it, and I definitely plan to do more. I can't put into words the satisfaction and fun I had putting this video together, all the while keeping up with the community between Marathon and Destiny, and gameplay updates and Destiny tweets. It was an emotional roller coaster to say the least, but I'm definitely excited to keep going. Once again, thanks for watching. Peace.